I recently came across this thing that I wrote 30 years ago when I was a freshman at Emerson College. We had an assignment to write an instructional essay. Could be on anything. Could be just, how to boil water, how to boil an egg. The thing I chose was the fine art of chopping. Chopping being what my friends in the 80s used to call making fun of a bad horror movie. Not just any, gotta be the bad ones. You want to leave alone the classics. Movie like the examples I use here, The Exorcist, The Omen, or even more modern examples like Mandy or Get Out. Those are horror movies working on their A game. You're pretty much too engaged in the movie, too terrified. But as I'm mostly writing about here, the Freddy and Jason movies of the 80s, or more recently some of your Blumhouse movies, like the Happy Death Day ones. These are movies that are ripe for humor. But how are you really going to do it well? And that's what I try to do here. And horror films have captivated, terrified us at the dawn of cinema, more recently grossed the living hell out of us. Depending on how you want to look at them, horror films can also be hilarious experiences. We used to call it shopping, and on the weekends, our parents would go shopping and we would go down to the mall and chop down a horror movie. It's a lot of fun, but there's some things you need to know. For starters, almost the most obvious, who are you going to go with? If you go with like 5, 6, 8 friends, all of a sudden you got so many people talking at once that it's like a Democratic presidential candidate debate or something. No one can hear anything. Everyone's talking over each other. No real fun. But you want to go around it, obviously you need at least 2 people. 3 or 4 people I think is about the best you can get. You get a few jokers, keep away the film snobs, keep in the class clowns, the people you can count on to be loose-lipped and hilarious. Film snobs, and I myself, I'm not disparaging film snobs, I'm often one myself, but anybody who is above the horror genre and who's going to look down on you for trying to have a good time, you don't really want them around. The people you want are people who actually love horror, who love what makes it great, but also who love its weaknesses and can poke some fun at it. And next most important thing is how you really do this well. Like Polonius tells Hamlet, brevity is the soul of wit, right? So, you got to keep it. We used to call them stabs. When you had a good one-liner thrown in a movie, you stabbed it, you move on, right? You didn't belabor it, you keep your comments short. One of the better ones I ever had was, it was in the 80s, Jason Voorhees movie. Saw it in New England, and there's a bit in there where Jason chops somebody's head off, goes flying through a window, and it just jumps into my head. Phil Rizzuto, announcer for the New York Yankees. Holy cow, it's out of there! And it got a good laugh. If I had tried that in Oklahoma, might have not played, but I tried it where there were Yankee fans, Red Sox fans. It worked with the crowd, and that's really kind of the thing too. Is keeping the crowd on your side. There are times where you may even throw out a joke or two and suddenly realize this is the wrong night, this is the wrong crowd. No one's really buying it. Stop it. But I'll tell you the best example I've ever seen of someone who really knew the crowd and had a good zinger. Went to see The Bone Collector with Denzel Washington in Manhattan when it opened. And there's a scene in there, right? Yeah. So there's a scene in there where a killer cab driver picks up a grandfather and a granddaughter in front of Grand Central Station, ushers them into his cab where he's going to murder them, and speeds away up Lexington Avenue. And from mid-back of the theater, this voice goes, "In Midtown? Bullshit!" That's all he needed to say. The whole theater was his. Everybody laughed. It was perfect. Didn't need to belabor it. Just made us good, and it was a shared experience. It was something we could all relate to. Anybody there was from New York or had spent enough time in New York to know that there's no chance in hell you get in a cab and then just speed away. You'll speed about 20 feet before you hit rush hour traffic. So that was something that worked, and that guy had the crowd on his side for the rest of the movie. And like I was saying about him sitting toward the back, that's another key thing. Where are you going to sit in the theater? If you only care about you and your buddies here, sit in the front row. You can stick your feet out. Nobody's got a hat blocking your view, But if you sit in the back, too far back, all you really have back there, what do you got? You got kids on a date, and you got people who are too cheap to afford a room. So they're not even engaged in the movie, the folks back there. They have their own agenda, and it's not what's on the screen. At least while you're mocking the movie, at least you're paying attention to it, right? So You want to sit sort of ground zero, like center of the theater, center of the aisle. That way, when the ushers come down, they can't single you out and kick you out. And hopefully, if you keep the theater on, you keep the audience on your side, they're not going to do that anyway. Yeah. Next most important thing is now you know where to sit in the theater. Where do you find that theater? When we were kids, we used to go to like the shopping mall theaters, like this one behind me. This is the former Randall Park Cinema in Cleveland, Ohio. It was a dump at the time, and this is after it closed. It became even more of a dump. But it was the kind of place where the audience was ripe for this anyway. The whole audience was there to cut. Randall was there to cut a movie down. My podcast buddy Craig and I, he and I have grown up in some grindhouse theaters, so places where your feet stick to the floor, places where half the seats have torn upholstery and stuff like that. If the theater itself is not that well upkept, you know it's a place where you can get away with having a little bit of fun. And the one thing I have learned a few times, small town theaters, especially back then, that just had like a marquee that just said theater and you had to go up to even find out what it was. It's just, you go to these theaters where it's folks that are just, they think of it as their living room. They're talking at practically the level I'm talking right now because they're as comfortable as I'm, in their living room. But they don't want to hear audience participation. They don't want to hear somebody trying to have a good time. They don't want to hear a comedian. They just come to be the family. Not exactly your grindhouse theater, not the kind of place you go shopping. So, what are the things we really need to know if you really want to have a good experience shopping? You really need 2 or 3 good friends. Leave the film snobs at home. Make sure your jabs are quick, sharp, midtown bullshit. That's all you need. Just like keep it short and sweet. If you see a body get mangled and it looks like lasagna, yell out, lasagna! Boom. Moving on. It's funny. It gets a crowd on your side, and if they're not, maybe you're in the wrong house that week. Next most important thing to go, when are you going to go? Weeknights? Not so much. Weekends. Opening weekend. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, midnight shows. That's when you got your good crowd. That's when you got a sold out crowd. That's when half of them are drunk or high anyway. That's your prime horror crowd. That's your prime bad horror movie crowd, right? If you're seeing Mandy at a midnight, and I did, you're so caught up in the phantasmagoria of it that you're just going to be wrecked. But if you see something like Happy Death Day, late night, opening weekend, right for humor, you're going to have fun. So keep the audience on your side, keep the good friends with you who are good for a laugh, and keep your comments short and quick, and you'll have a good time. Just, if it comes into your sick mind, let it rip. You're going to have fun. I've been doing it for 30 years. I'll probably do it for 30 more. It's the way to make a horror movie a good time. And hey, thanks for listening, and I'll see you up there soon in the cheap seats, and we'll have a few laughs together. Thanks.